Good evening, everyone. Happy Monday. It's your boy Kevin Thorne. You have tuned into the Wellness Architect Show. Today is Monday, December 30th, 2019, the last Monday of 2019. And we have an amazing show. We have the best person to bring in 2020 with us today.
Yes, sir.
So we're gonna have a great show. It's gonna be Black Girls Magic. I'm just gonna sit back and let them do their thing.
You gonna join in?
I'm gonna join in, but
Of course he is.
but I will let them do. They gonna do it. Um, Before I throw it to Lotus, starting Wednesday is Veganary. So what that is the month of January. They're promoting a plant-based lifestyle for the first 31 days of the year, just to try to promote a healthier lifestyle to get you started. So hopefully, with the mindset of with 21 days being create a habit, if we could go the whole 31 days, you might want to create that habit of just trying to maintain that plant-based lifestyle. I did the 21-day challenge, and I ended up doing the 28 days. So I think the 31 days should be
Yeah, I
no
mean, you
problem.
kind of get in the groove of
You
things.
got in the groove
Now,
of
who
things.
is that?
Huh?
Who is that?
Who's gonna do it? Me? I have some. I put it out there on social media, so I have like a, a tribe of 10.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, a tribe of 10. So I put them in my created a wellness architect group, and I sent the meal plan or like recipes from Veganary, and also some protein plant-based recipes as well. And then I'm gonna go try to find like some juicing recipes to also give them that. And then I also told them, based off of Dr. Furman, Eat to Live, to make sure they get their G bombs. So the G bombs, for people who don't know, it's going to be their greens, their beans and legumes, onions, mushrooms, berries, and seeds.
Okay.
So yeah, and then drink plenty of water. So that's the goal. So I'm gonna try to keep. I'm gonna have them. I'm gonna be their accountability partner. I'm gonna do along with them,
Okay.
and we're gonna make it happen for
So
2020.
this is a group.
Yeah,
If people want to join, it's
Yeah.
a Facebook group.
yeah,
Okay.
yep. So with that being said, I have my lovely co-host, Miss Lotus Riche. How are you?
Just grateful to be here. How you doing, Kevin? It's always a pleasure to see you. And we have an awesome guest with us today. The E fell off, or
The
the or
A,
the
the A.
A fell off. But Erika Conklin, for those of you that don't know, now you know.
Now you know.
Welcome. It's always good to see you.
Yes. I'm excited to be here for the last Monday in this decade.
Yeah,
What an honor
yeah,
that we made it this far. We lost a lot of people this year.
we did.
And so
Yes, that
we
is
are
so
so blessed to be here to inspire and to illuminate.
I love it.
Yes.
So what's your inspirational word for today?
Get your credit straight.
Ah, right.
Don't debate. Get your credit straight, because it's never too late. I know that we're moving out of 2019, and there may be some things that we left behind or may appear to be undone as we progress toward 2020. But I will say this to you: whatever you have not gotten completed this year, leave it in this year and move forward anyway. Just make sure that you utilize 2020 to do what you set out to do and get it done. Don't debate, don't hesitate, get your credit straight.
All right. I love it.
You got some more advice for us?
Yeah.
Yes. So tonight we're going to be talking a bit about credit, some credit secrets, how to help your credit, especially for those of you that have student loans, that have accounts that you may have defaulted on, sometimes by your own fault, but oftentimes through no fault of your own. So we're going to be talking about some things like that. And then, of course, we're going to give you some information on how to get a hold of the different credit bureaus. We're going to tell you how many credit bureaus how many there are, but the major ones, okay? So that you know, I'm gonna put out the phone number so that you can contact them if you need to contact them by phone. But one of the best ways to contact them is by written letter, especially if you need to change something or if you're disputing something. And I'm gonna give you a couple zesty tips tonight that's gonna help you move into 2020 in the best possible way. So I want to say this: credit secrets and more. You ready for 2020? So we're going to talk about Credit Secrets and More, which is a book that I have, and the book was actually written by Scott and Allison Hilton. And I'm going to show you this book right now. And this is not an advertisement for you to purchase the book. You can buy the book. We'll have the link here for you later on. But the primary thing is get your credit straight. Now, a lot of times we have people that have co-signed for cars. I have. Have either of you ever co-signed for a car?
No, ma'am.
Okay, well, I co-signed for a car and the person let the car go back. My mom co-signed for a car for a person years ago that was attending her church, and their child defaulted. Okay, and the thing is that sometimes we generate loans for people or we co-sign for people, and sometimes it goes wrong. Sometimes it goes wrong because they're not responsible. Sometimes it goes wrong because we're not responsible. And sometimes it goes wrong because people lose their jobs, people get sick, they go in the hospital, people have horrific things that happen in their family or even at their job. And it causes them not to keep up with payments for whatever reason. Guess what? You can still overcome. So I'm going to be talking primarily about credit tonight, and then Erika is also, she's got some fantastic stuff that she's going to be talking about. So I'm going to pass the ball to Erika for right now. Erika.
Wow, I am excited and a little bit nervous because I know we can all use that information, and I know that some people are a little bit nervous about attacking that credit score and calling those 3 credit bureaus and even just looking at the credit score, because it's kind of like, does what you don't know really hurt you? You know what I mean? When it comes to credit, yes, it does. But while we're on the subject of just being, using our finances wisely, I just wanted to touch upon, I got the, and it's my fault, I got the dates incorrect. So I was thinking about how people could save money and, and so I made a few gifts with herbs. And I thought, well, what's the best way to give a gift from the heart? And for whatever reason, people really like when you make stuff for them and give it to them. Like, I'm totally surprised by this. And so I thought, well, it's a good idea to share some tips, just starting off about how to, since I already made them, might as well share them with you, about just a few herbal gifts that I like to give to people, because it comes from the heart and people really appreciate and they hold on to it. Like, they don't let anybody else, like, no, this is something that somebody gave me that they took time to make and go out and just make that for specifically that person. So I have a few gifts. I like making potpourri, actually, and it's easy to make, and it's actually, I hate to say it, but for me it's kind of a lot of fun, and it's a stress relief, and the look on the people's faces, they're like, oh my God, you actually made that for me, So if you got a bouquet that you want to hold on to for Christmas, I know Valentine's is coming up, and I usually go to my favorite florist, and he will give me some, he'll sell me some bouquets that nobody has purchased, or I'll get, flowers that nobody, they just kind of getting ready to go batter. And I will either put them in the oven or I will lay them out in the sun if it's not too windy, or you can put them in the oven on the lowest possible, whatever, how lowest, some ovens aren't warm, you leave them in there for like maybe a couple of hours and let them dry up. And then I'll go to the herb stores and I'll get mix and match herbs together and create a scent. And once you get kind of used to it, It's cheaper than going to Macy's or, buying somebody a gift card that they may or may not keep up with, or, it's frugal, but at the same time it's heartfelt, and it's not. And then I get these dishes, these pretty dishes, from your local. They're either at the dollar store, or Dollar Tree sells a lot of these things, or I go to my favorite thrift shop, and this dish cost me like maybe $2 or $3, and then I put like a beautiful display of flowers, and this is my rose spice. So it has roses, it has bay leaves. How many got bay leaves sitting around the house? It's got rosemary in it. I went outside in my mom's garden and I got some pine off of her tree, and I got some lavender. So it's roses and lavender, and
Real good.
it smells delicious. And if you want, you can even throw this in your bath water. So it has a twofold thing. For my fellas, I make a caraway, anise, and orange spice mix. And this is a totally different smell. Anise almost smells a little bit like licorice. And I got some cinnamon, and I cut up an orange, and I put the orange in the oven for a little while, the orange peels. And my God, if you put this, now you can make a tea out of it, and it's good for digestion at the same time, and flatulence. And it helps with a lot of digestive issues that people have, constipation. It'll clean you up. But it'll also give you a clean smell in your room as well. I usually get this for my dad. It's got some cardamom in there. And again, another dish I bought at my favorite thrift store for like $1 or $2. And you want to buy dishes with covers on them, because I see a lot of people with just potpourri out. First of all, you're killing everybody in the room, because that stuff is strong. And then you want to keep it covered because it lasts longer. It lasts a lot longer. And I have sashes. So I give people like a lavender. You could come up with a theme. So I have like a relaxation theme. So I might give them some potpourri, and then I'll take some herbs and I put it in a sachet. And this sachet is so easy to put together. Like, it's super easy. I don't sew like that, but I mean, it's just so easy to sew. And then you can put it like in your drawer to make it smell good. A lot of people who have like teen or sons, or even your daughter who's an athlete, and they got like some funky drawers or some funky, what is this, the laundry baskets. You can put these in the laundry basket. You can put these, if you like, a lot of women put them in their underwear drawer to make the underwear drawer smell fresh. You can put that in there. And so I just give them one of these to put in their drawer. Put wherever. You can put it in your car. You can let it kind of hang in your car. Put it somewhere where when you come in your car, it smell good. And then you can also put them either in a muslin bag. And these are fairly cheap. They're like, I know at Mother Nature's Market in Tucker, they sell them for like 50 cents. And you can get these, and then you can actually put this in the tub as well. And so you just put it in, you tie it over the spigot and let the water run. And then your water will come out. And then this has rose and lavender in it too. So if you like lavender, most women like rose and lavender. So I just get a rose and lavender mixture. So this is rose and lavender. The sash is rose, lavender, and lemon verbena. So you can also just take out the herbs that's in here and put it in your bathtub as well. You just want to have a relaxing day. You can also put a muslin bag and then a tea bag. And I got this from Seven Nanda. And it's like you can iron the top. So you put your favorite herbs in there. If they're not that pretty, because some of them are not for display, but they still smell good. So you can put this in, this is a tea bag, so you can just throw it whenever you want to have a relaxing day. Then you can take some lavender and make some lavender water. And then you could like boil some lavender in some water, add a little alcohol. When I say alcohol, I mean like 100% grain alcohol, not like rubbing alcohol. I don't know what that would do, but the 100% grain alcohol is what is normally suggested in potpourri. And then I just took some lavender and I let it sit in some oil, some vitamin E oil or grapeseed oil, almond oil, jojoba oil, and I just let it sit in there for like 3 or 4 weeks. And then I also have I actually have lavender essential oil. And you kind of want to, when you do a lavender essential oil, you want to put it in an amber vial because it'll eat through plastic. So, and the amber vial, you want to put it in a dark amber vial to make it last a lot longer. And me and Kevin, we're talking about, people who have sensitive skin. This stuff is perfect for people who have sensitive skin because a lot of people can't wear perfumes. A lot of perfumes have estrogen mimickers in them. It irritates the skin. It offsets your glands. Your glands don't really too much care for that perfume. And then it messes with your sinuses. A lot of people have sinus issues because they're using all that we're not going to call out any manufacturers, but you're using all that stuff that smells crazy in your laundry. And, you wonder why your eczema is flaring up or your child the skin is just so sensitive. So this stuff is good for people who have, if you got a friend who has sensitive skin, you definitely, they would love stuff like this because they're able to add it to their baths and feel fresh and rejuvenated. And this is definitely, I like to get people a refresh. So I put it all in, you could buy a nice little basket. You put it all in a basket, and trust me, they're going to love that gift. And they have so many options. So just some things to think about when you are a little tight on money. We all get there sometimes. When you're a little tight on money and you want to give somebody something special. Something special. There's just a few ideas. And Kevin was asking me about where I go to get the glasses. My favorite place would be, it's a place called Cheaper by the Dozen. And it's on Buford Highway and Jimmy Carter. And it's a guy who's owned, David. He actually has a charity where he donates a lot of things to impoverished places in Latin America. And so he's a really nice guy. And I mean, like I said, he has half off stuff all the time. He has sales on all the time. And I just get some really nice stuff out of there that people would not even think that, a lot of people kind of stuck their nose up at thrift stores. I love going bargain shopping. It's one of my favorite things to do. It's not I can go to Target and Pier and all these Pier 1 and all these other places, but it's just when you go places with someone in mind, the things that jump out at you is specifically for that person.
Right.
And I would second guess myself sometimes, oh, maybe they're not gonna like this. And when I give it to them, they love it. They love it. And you can tell because then somebody else will be because you won't even say anything, and then somebody else come by, where did you find that from? You get that from so I'm like, did they tell you about that? They're like, yeah, girls, he loves it. So I know for a fact that they love it because somebody else told me that they love it, not just them. So it's different things like that, and people say, oh my God, you made this. So I learned how to make the sash actually from how to make a sachet on needle pointers from YouTube. It's a 5-minute video, and that's how easy it is. And I can make 5 of these and give them out to my girlfriends, and I'm really surprised at the reaction and the response that I get. And it didn't cost you that much, and those are the things that really mean something to people. Anybody can just go to the store, but when people find out how much effort and time you put into their gift, it just really means something. It really means a lot. So I know Christmas is over, so what? But
It was almost time for Valentine's Day.
It's almost time for Valentine's Day, and I mean somebody's birthday is coming up soon, or you and your girlfriends are doing something. It's just a nice touch to add to anything, any occasion, anytime somebody. And we're going to talk about also about our 2020 intentions, and that bringing that gift and giving and receiving and allowing that circulation. So the more energy and the more love you put into something, it's almost like how much it costs doesn't even matter, because it's like the spirit, God, recognizes that effort, and you get double for it. Trust me, you get double for it.
Absolutely.
So just want to put that out there and just give people some herbal gift ideas, all the different things that you can do with herbs and essential oils. I do have to do a shout out to doTERRA because it is therapeutic, and it's like where you would use 5 or 6 drops in a store brand. It's only like, you really don't need like 1 drop of there. So it's super strong and it's therapeutic and people can actually ingest it. But a lot of them you can actually ingest. So I think that's, since we're on the wave of financial, being financially wise and prudence, then I think that was just kind of a, just something to let people know, just something to throw out there for the 2020. For the 2020.
I just wanted to interject right quick because I think that Erika said, now these are some gifts that you can go out and get for people, and it really takes a lot of thought. And then she also said that she loved doing it. Well, I just want to share with all of our viewers that about a month ago, Erika and I were talking on the phone in the middle of her busy day, and we talked about this episode tonight. And she talked about wanting to go out there and do this for all of the viewers so that they could save money but give great gifts from the heart. So Erika, thank you, because you just knocked it out the park. And it kind of graduates us into the credit thing, because a lot of times during the Christmas holiday, even New Year's and Valentine's Day, birthdays, things of that nature, a lot of us go broke with the gift giving. And sometimes because it's so commercialized, a lot of us forget the real essence of why we are giving a gift. So Erika, thanks for sharing that with us. But can you also tell us some of what you were feeling when you were out there putting all this together for our viewers? Because it took time.
It definitely takes time, because it takes like 5 to 6 weeks to cure the potpourri. I love it. Like, I love going to health food stores. Like, I go places that kind of like give me energy. And when you step into a health food store, if you don't feel like, I feel refreshed, I feel relaxed, and I'm smelling the things. Oh, this will go nice together. And when you learn different scents, like before you buy an essential oil, I suggest going and smelling that herb, because it's a plant. So before you spend all this money buying this essential oil, go smell how the plant. Like, I was gonna buy, you hear anise, right? So the one thing that I love about essential oils is you can put them together and they'll create their own perfume. Like, I had on something that's like, that smells good. What is that? I'm like, it's ylang. You know what I mean? Like, this is ylang and lavender. So I really, as you can see from my excitement, that I love putting these scents together. And I have books that, potpourri books that I get from the library sale. This book cost me like 50 cents. There's a really famous book called, I didn't even know it was famous. I just got it because it was talking about potpourri, and it's called The Scented Room by Barbara Orbach. And she is like super famous for this. Like, people actually, and they give you all, like, this is where I got the lavender water. There's rose water. A lot of people know about rose water. Yes. That you can like spray on yourself, and then you can buy these actual jars from the health food store as well. You can buy the spray bottles from the health food store, or I think they sell them on Amazon too. And so you can make your own perfume. Like, I make my own perfumes, and I make my own scent too. And people are like, that smells good. What is that? And then it's like, it's something I created. Like,
yeah, I know.
can make it for you too.
Cause I have a friend that's all what you do. The potpourris. She makes her own laundry detergent. Everything. So
yeah,
it's
like once you get into one thing, you see how much is really out there, and then you realize that there's a whole platform. Like, there's a whole audience of people that are really into this and really do this. And it is, for me, it's a lot of fun, and it's relaxing. Like, it's strange because I don't even like wouldn't even think of myself as like a homemaker, so to speak. But when I got into this, it's like you put on some music and you put this stuff together,
So-
and it just becomes fun. But at the same time, like I really love it when I go back to the florist, I'll give him a sample of what I created from the flowers that he had, or when I pick out these things out of my mother's garden, or when I pick out, she has a eucalyptus tree, and I get that eucalyptus, and I mean, it just means even that much more, like the rosemary comes out of the garden, the thyme comes out of the garden, and things of this nature. So it really is like, it's something like when you actually take that rose and you say, like my neighbor had roses in the yard, like, and it was just kind of like on the ground. I was like, hey, can I have your rose petal? Because I can make some really good smelling stuff with this. And then, what? Yeah, but somebody else's, you can do something with it. And it seems like it's trash. These oranges, they've been sitting in the fruit. Nobody's going to eat them. Fine, make orange juice out of the orange and then use the peels. And
Right.
you can even like, my mom usually puts the peels in the drainage because it makes the drain smell good. You know what I mean? Like if your drain really stinks, you can put orange peels in there and just kind of like leave it in there. Or you can, if it's a strong smell in the room, put them in some boiling water, and then you can actually drink that water. You'll have like orange water. Like it'll taste really good. So it's so many things that I think that we take for granted that can be utilized in so many different ways.
Yep.
And you mentioned one of my favorite spots, Savananda. That place is amazing. It's
Yeah, it is.
Savananda Natural Foods. For some of you that may not have heard of the place, it's in Little Five Points. Go ahead and get your pen and your paper, because I'm gonna give you this number, because every time I come to the Atlanta area, I make sure I get there. But this past time, I didn't get there. So Erika, when I come, Kevin, when I come, what's up. You know where we going, right?
Right.
So if you want to go there, folks, 467 Moreland Ave, Northeast Atlanta, Georgia. Okay. They have a little bit of everything.
Everything.
You can call them up on the phone or what have you, and you can ask them for something specific if you need it. Their number is 404-681-2831. Now, I'm not telling you go there, buy, or whatever. I'm not saying that, but I'm just telling you what I do and where I go and the number to call. So again, it's 404-681-2831. And I'm telling you, you will not be disappointed. See, this is how I know someone who has really shopped for the good stuff, because that's where they go. And like you said, Erika, when I go in there, I'm like you. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. It's so much. And thing about it is it's a co-op, so it's neighborhood supported, and they support the neighborhood. And we got to start supporting our neighborhood stores, because there was a wonderful store called Rainbow Natural Foods.
Mm-hmm.
And with all this gentrification going on, we're losing these stores. And they're so important to the neighborhood. Like, where else are you going to find local grown food, produce that supports the local farmers? That doesn't have all these pesticides and geoengineering on your food.
Yep.
So these things are almost important for not only for the health of the community, like they're concerned about your health, like they are personable. Like you go to somebody's grocery, you can't find people to help. They don't know where stuff is. They're not trying to really help. They don't care. But when you go to places like right, they don't care. And then they have a little bitty section of organic. It's like, well, what's the rest of the store? When you go to places like Seven Under, the whole store is organic. You understand what I'm saying? Like sometimes you got to be careful with some things, but for the most part, what you get in there is authentic. And so we got to support. There's a place in Hateville as well. Mm-hmm. We got to support these stores because they're few and far between, and we're losing them fast.
Okay. And for those of you that want the information, I've got somebody, they're putting the information out there for you right now. Another wonderful thing about Savananda, They have food on site, very healthy food, kale salads and things of that nature. Another thing, they have soursop leaves, they have black seed oil, they have almost every type of herb that you can imagine. They have it there. But this is the real kicker. This is the real kicker, and I'm gonna tell you this, but I already know Erika probably getting ready to tell you, but I'm gonna share it if she don't mind. The prices.
Right.
The prices are very, very reasonable. And I don't know how they manage to get the prices to be as reasonable as they do, but the prices are very reasonable. The stuff is fresh. I've never had a problem, and I've been going there for years. When I live down in the area, and even when I fly into Atlanta, I always go there. And if you want top-notch quality, do what Erika did. Go right there into the other places that she's recommended, and I'm telling you, you won't go wrong.
Cannot.
Yes, ma'am.
Cannot.
All right, ma'am. It's on you.
Let's get on this credit, child, 'cause we all need this.
Okay,
We all
let's get
need
on
this
the
one.
credit, y'all. That's how we be approaching it sometimes. Let's get on the credit. We scratching our neck and doing all that stuff. But really, credit is really your friend. That's what I found out. Credit is your friend. And some of you might be saying, well, Lotus, what makes you the genius in credit? I'm not a genius, but I am an authority, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because at 25, I owned my first home. I was a field engineer for Kodak, and I owned my home in an environment where most people, they were business owners, prior military, retired, so they had the moolah, they had their stuff together. I was a young person, just still feeling my way, figuring it out. But I'm telling you that to say this: a lot of people are not progressing to home ownership because they have not been trained properly on how to progress to it. We are trained to go to school, go to college, get a good job, work, get a house if we can. I've got a master's in business, but I'm gonna tell you one thing, they never taught me about credit. Now, I got student loans, but they didn't tell me how to get good credit. I had to learn, and I had to learn painfully so. Because in my 20s and 30s, like I said, I owned my first home at 25. What I didn't know was you can't loan people your mortgage money and think they're going to give it back to you on time to pay your mortgage. So I ran into some trouble with paying my mortgage on time. But thankfully, I have great parents and just mentors that helped me kind of get out of that rut. And I was able to save myself. And unfortunately, many of you know in 2009, they had a huge turnover where they had people losing their homes left and right because of predatory lending. And do any one of you know what predatory lending is?
I just know, I was kind of there at the time because I worked for someone who was doing this and it just putting people in $500,000 houses, knowing that they really couldn't afford these houses, and so they just fell behind, and they ended up in default or whatever you want to call it, and so it just really messed a lot of people up. But that's as far as I know about it.
Yeah. And that's right on point. That's what was happening. And so many companies were doing this. The company that I had my mortgage loan through, they were also doing it. And you will find a lot of companies that were buying and selling off loans and just doing all kinds of stuff just to get people in the homes and not really focusing on their credit. I know a few realtors right now. Donna Carlock, she's out of Douglasville, Georgia. I love what she's doing with people right now. She's running programs to help people get homes, but what she's doing is she's sending them to a lender so that they can do a credit analysis. And a lot of times people think that they're not credit worthy of buying a home at the time, but when these people work with them, they find out if they are, if they're not. They don't just drop them off because they want to sell a house and they don't have the credit. What they do is they rally around them like a village, and they say, okay, this is what your credit looks like, and this is what you want, and this is what you need to do. They give them a true schematic on how to get there. And tonight, that's what we're going to talk about. This is going to be a small schematic to help you get going to get your credit straight. Now, one of the first things you need to do, okay, is get all 3 credit reports. That's the first thing you need to do. The reason being is because you don't know what you don't know. If you don't know what your credit looks like, how can you fix it? You can't. Okay. Now, if you want to get your credit report, you can contact the major 3 credit bureaus. And the major 3 credit bureaus is, I'm going to give you one, Kevin's going to give you one, and Erika's going to give you one. The first one I'm going to give you is Equifax.
I'm gonna do Experian.
I don't know the
Okay.
other one. I don't know the other one.
And that's all right. And the thing is, a lot of us oftentimes don't know all 3 credit bureaus. And there are other credit bureaus, but we're going to talk about the 3 major ones. So we've got Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. Okay? And get your pen and paper, and I'm going to give you the phone numbers. The first one up is Equifax. The number is 1-866-349-5191. And if one of the viewers, if you can, just put this in for me if you would. TransUnion, 1-800-916-8800, and Experian, 1-800-509-8495. Now, a lot of people don't really even know how to get the ball rolling. Well, today you can get the ball rolling because I've given you all 3 credit bureaus. Remember, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. I've given you all the phone numbers, and you'll see it down below. Okay, they are the 3 major credit bureaus. Okay, so for several reasons, you may look on your credit report once you get it, and you may not even understand what's going on the paperwork that they send you. Okay, now let me back up a little bit. When you contact the credit bureaus, and you can contact them online, www.experian.com, www.transunion.com, www, 3 W's. Let's see, Equifax.com. Okay, so when you contact them online, you can actually get your credit report online, and you are able to get all 3 credit reports once a year, totally free of charge. Okay, so if you don't have an email, please set up an email. You can go to Yahoo, Google, or Gmail, any of those, and set up an email. Because what's going to happen is when you go online, they're going to ask you for your email address, and you can have them send it directly to your email. Okay.
And Lotus,
Now,
Lotus, could they go
Yes,
to?
sir.
Could they go to
Credit report.
annualcreditreport.com?
yes,
Something
they
like
can
that.
go to annualcreditreport.com. Exactly. And they can get it for free. That's correct.
Can you
Okay.
tell us why
So
it's
once you
important
go
to
there-
do? Why is it important to do all 3?
Okay, and we were going to get to that, but I'm happy you brought that up already. The reason why you want to get all 3 is because there may be contrasting information. And the reason being is because each credit report may report differently, okay? And some of your creditors may not report to all 3 credit bureaus. That's why when you're building credit, you want to ask, are you reporting to all 3 credit bureaus? And their answer should be yes. If it's not, you need to ask why, okay? Now, some of you, I'm just going to put this out right now. I have a Capital One credit card, and I noticed that when I reviewed my credit reports, Capital One was not reporting to the credit bureau. I called them, and I had them for quite some time, a couple of years, and I noticed, they're not reporting. And I called them up and I asked them, why aren't you reporting? So sometimes you may have to do that. Even though they tell you they're reporting to all 3 credit bureaus, it is up to you to make sure that this is happening because it can help or hurt you. Okay, so that's some of the reasons why you want to make sure that you pull all 3, because you may have, let's say, a 680 on Equifax. and you may have a 690 on Experian, and then you may have a 700 on TransUnion. And you look at it and you say, what's going on? Well, they may be reporting differently. And this is another quick thing. When you pay your credit cards, you may say, well, I paid this already. It's been 30 days and they don't show a zero balance. It takes time. It may take 30 days, it may take 60 days. And I know you might say, well, that's a long time. Yes, it is. But it takes time to build good credit. So just make sure that you're on top of your credit. So I'm going to move down. I've got the addresses for you too, and I'm going to give you that on a later date, on a later time, later in the show. So I want to talk about FICO score, what a FICO score is. FICO scores are scores that are approximately used by 90% of lenders, and they use them to determine your credit worthiness. And a lot of times people can say, well, Lotus, I don't understand why my credit score or TransUnion is showing a 680 and Experian is showing a 700 and Equifax is showing something different. Which one of these is my true credit score? You're looking for your median score, okay? The median score is derived this way. They take the highest and the lowest credit score and they push them out. And they use the middle credit score, okay? Mm-hmm. So when you look at your credit score, you're gonna see credit scores 8, credit scores 2, and those credit scores are used for different forms of credit. One credit score, like a credit score 2, it may be used for a credit card. Okay, and they're going to look at that particular score to see what it is. Even when you get car insurance, a lot of you may not know this, but they pull your credit report and they want to see what that score is to see if you're a good risk, because that's really what people are looking for when they look at your credit score. They're looking to see what type of risk you are. Okay, now I want to say this. And I think a lot of people have become aware of this. If you have credit cards with certain companies like American Express or Bank of America, and even Discover Card, Capital One, Premier Bank, places like that, you can get your credit score each month from them. This is something that a lot of these companies have amped up, and they say they offer this as a perk for being a customer of theirs. So when you check your balances and what you owe, and you can do this online. You can use it from your phone. You can download an app. If you have a Discover Card or American Express or what have you, you can download the app and you can check your credit score just like that of what they have. Now, be mindful that this may not show you all 3 credit bureaus. And in fact, typically they don't. What they do is show you the credit score that they have from the bureau that they report to, okay? So you may have a card from American Express, let's say. They may deal with Experian. And Experian, many of you know that Experian typically is the last one to go up, is the hardest one to move. At least that's been my experience and the experiences of many other people I've spoken to. So you might get an Experian score from them, which is diversely different from your TransUnion, but don't worry about that. The primary thing is to make sure you get all 3 credit scores and stay under 30% utilization. And I'm going to explain that to you shortly. Now, one good thing I want to talk to you about is the Discover Card. I don't know if you guys have the Discover Card, but what I found out about the Discover Card is whether you have an account with them or not, you can get your credit score. And I'm going to tell you how. What you do is you can go to creditscore.com. You will have to create an account, and you're going to have to provide your social security number when you go there. But once you establish that, you can go right to Discover and get your credit score. Okay? So let me tell you guys about a couple of different credit reporting places where you can get your credit scores for free or at a minimal cost. Credit Sesame, you can go there. You can go to Credit Karma. Now, a lot of people are aware of Credit Karma. How about you guys? Do you guys aware of Credit Karma?
Yes,
Yeah, they
ma'am.
advertise enough.
Yes, they do. Either one of you use Credit Karma?
I have not.
No.
Okay. No. Okay. Well, I have used Credit Karma. That's not my preference, and I really don't like to use Credit Karma. Nothing against Credit Karma. You guys can use it if you choose, but I prefer to get them from the actual three credit bureaus because I think their numbers are more reliable. What I've learned over time from personal experience as well as experiences conveyed to me from other people is that oftentimes Credit Karma may be as much as 100 points off. So you might look at Credit Karma and you think that you going in and you got a 650 credit score, and they say, wait a minute, no, your credit score is 600, but you're trying to get a car or an apartment and you have to have a 620 to even qualify for the apartment or for the car. Okay, and that now that 620 score, now it might get you a car, but remember, the lower your credit score, the higher the interest rate. Okay, and we'll talk about that later. Another thing with Credit Karma that is a plus though, Credit Karma will tell you who the information is for. So it has information on the website that conveys information from TransUnion and Equifax, all three credit bureaus. It has information on what your score is and the things that are on your credit report. It also will tell you what's hurting your credit report, and it'll give you some suggestions of credit cards that you may qualify for and what the average approval rate is. It may say, you might qualify for this. You've got a poor chance, or you've got a great chance, or what have you, and it will also make recommendations to help you overcome some struggles with some credit challenges that you may be having. It also provides you with suggestions to enhance your score. Okay, it might say you need to get a secured credit card, and for some people, and I've been there too, for some people you have to get a secure credit card. Now some of you that are listening, and thank you for listening, you may not have a credit card. And in this day and age, most people need a credit card. And sometimes people will not apply for a credit card because they've had a bad history in the past. And even though they've changed themselves around, they still won't do it. Right. I know personally because I had a family member like that. How about you guys?
Yep.
Yeah, I was like that for a long time, and then I just had to let it go.
Me too.
Just being afraid of,
She froze.
Okay, you can hear, viewers, we have all had challenges with credit. So therefore, okay, we know what we're talking about. We've been there and we've overcome, and some of us may still be overcoming, and that's okay. Student loans, a big one. I have student loans, so no worries. The name of the game is don't let shame paralyze you into doing nothing. So let's get back to Credit Karma. Credit Karma not only provides you information on, as far as recommending a credit card, like a secured card, and it helps you to understand what your chances are, if it's fair, good, or great, or what have you. Now, oftentimes, if you apply for one of those cards, based on what Credit Karma says, 9 times out of 10, from personal experience, you will get it. If it says that your chances are fair or great, you usually can get the card. Now, with that being said, the interest rate may be very high. It may be 29%, it may be 30%, it may be 27%, or what have you. And sometimes people that are in a situation where they just have to establish credit, they have to get those type of credit cards at that time. But this is the key. If you get that credit card and you maintain a good history with them and stay under 30% utilization, it usually works out very well for you. So some of you may be asking in your mind, what credit cards could I possibly get that would work for me and that would help me? Capital One is a good credit card to have. I got a Capital One card many, many years ago when I was reestablishing myself. Like I've told you, I've had student loans. I still have student loans. I've had mortgages, and I've defaulted on my mortgage. And when I was reestablishing myself, I had to get a secured credit card. Premier One credit card. They will work with you. Now, they may offer you a low credit card amount starting off, level of credit starting off. But if you get the card and you pay on, I say pay ahead of time, okay? But you got to remember, don't pay too far ahead of time, because this has happened to me. I paid 10 days or more ahead of time. And then when I paid, they were looking for another payment. And I was like, what's going on? I already paid for the month. And they was like, you paid before the window. So that went on last month, not the one that you're currently being billed for. So just so that you know that. Can you grab the wallet? Thank you. So the other thing is that you can get First Premier, you can get a Credit One, you can get a Capital One, and if you belong to a credit union, I highly recommend get a credit card from a credit union, because what typically happens, Navy Federal, they're magnificent. If you can get an established bank account, checking account, savings account with Navy Federal, PenFed, something like that, they will be happy to help you out. And you just got to maintain that account. If you can maintain that account, what will happen is, if it's a secured card, over time, they will turn that into a regular credit card. And what happens is, when they turn that into a regular credit card, okay, I'm going to show you this. I'm going to show you this right here. Okay, that's what one of the Navy Federal credit cards look like. Okay, and I'm covering up my name and my numbers. Okay, just don't catch no feelings, but okay. If you thank you. If you do that, Navy Federal will help you establish credit over time. And then if you get into a situation where you're starting your own business or you need a home loan, you can apply for a home loan. And 9 times out of 10, if you've had good credit history with Navy Federal, you will get the loan. 9 times out of 10, I've seen it from a personal note. I had a family member, their credit was a little less than perfect, mid 500s. They actually had to live in a hotel for a few months because the home that they wanted, they couldn't get into, and they moved to another state. And when they got there, things didn't appear as they thought they would. Now, let me tell you how that happened. They had a credit card with I want to say City One Bank or Citibank. Mm-hmm. And they were late on a payment, and it went maybe for 30 days or more. And it might have been their first or second one. Now, Citibank don't play. So what they did, they pulled their credit back from them. So what that did, their utilization availability went down. It dropped them into a lower Beacon score. Beacon score is your credit score. And so when they got to their destination and they applied, they couldn't get the house that they wanted to get. And when we talked about it, I was so inundated with some other stuff. I wasn't even thinking. And then one day it dawned on me. I called, I said, listen, I know what to do to help you. I said, give me all of your credit cards. I need to know all of the available credit, all of the balances on each card, and when your report date is. Okay. Now, many of you may be saying in your mind, what is the report date? The report date is the date that the company that you have established credit with reports it to the credit bureaus. Okay. Now, this is a trick that some of you may not know, and I had to learn this personally. I would continually call my creditors and say, okay, what is my report date? One person might say, well, your report date is the 22nd. And I said, okay. So I would always make sure I would pay it before the 22nd. But then when I would call again, someone educated me and said, the report date is the 22nd. However, we may not report it to the 24th or the 25th. Okay, so while you're waiting to see that report go to the credit bureau, it may not have made it yet because they may not have sent it yet. But what you have to do is make sure you're under the 30% utilization if they're telling you your report date is the 22nd. Does that make sense?
So 30% utilization is if I have a balance of $1,000, I
Mm-hmm.
don't go over a 30% of the $1,000.
Right, right, exactly right. So let's say if you have a card for, let's say 1,500. I'll take a card 1,500. Okay, so 1,500, you multiply that by 0.30. Okay, so you should not go over. Okay, and see, I know this by heart, but I'm showing you. You should not go over $450. And that's for people that want to be in the 600 range credit scores. Okay, utilization is 30%. You want to be under 30% of what the maximum allowable credit is. Okay, can you say that with me? You have to be under 30%
30%
of the maximum
allowable.
allowable credit.
Okay.
Okay, so that'll get you somewhere in the 700 club. And the 700 club is, around 700. But that's contingent upon how you pay your bills and if you have student loans or not and things like that. Because a lot of people with student loans, they struggle to get to the 700 club if their loans are not paid. Because student loans are some of the loans, and federal loans, they hit you the hardest. They can drop your scores like 30, 40, 50 points. So if you have student loans, you need to pay them loans off or at least make them current, or you can place them in deferment if you've hit a rough patch, if you've been laid off or what have you. Now, this is the thing about deferment. If you're behind on your student loan and you want to go into deferment, from personal experience, you need to pay and get caught up in order to go into deferment. Now, some things may have changed since I had to put stuff in deferment, but that's what I was told. You need to just pay this, get this caught up, and then we can put you in deferment. And deferment is great, but while you're in deferment, you need to be establishing a strategy so that you can pay before you come out of deferment is my best bet to you. And those of you that are currently in college right now, I would suggest start paying your student loan now. Even if it's $20 a week, I'm telling you, that $20 will make a huge difference over time, especially if you got 3 or 4 years to go. Now, when I was overseas, I was paying almost $600 a week in student loans. And I was paying another $500 and something in student loans out of my pocket. Now, the first student loans, I was sending that automatic draft out of my check. When you send it automatic draft out of your check, you almost don't miss it. So if you could set that up, do that. So I was paying that and also paying out of my pocket for my doctoral degree. So that was about over $1,100 a month in student loans. And I did that for the duration that I was overseas. Now, when I came back and things changed, okay, that over $100,000 a year, I wasn't making that anymore. Some things changed for me, okay? And if you miss one payment, they're gonna be knocking on your email door, okay? Asking you, hey, you need to get this straight. And they do have people that'll work with you, they'll help you get through. But you gotta remember, student loans is something that's not gonna go away. Most of the time, people, even if they file bankruptcy, you can't write that off in a student loan. Now, you can do student forgiveness if you work for the school system or what have you for 10 years. But who's to say you want to work for the school system for 10 years? And they have other programs out there for forgiveness, but be mindful. If you default during that process, it goes right back to where it was. They're going to be calling you, emailing you, doing everything they could do because you're going to pay for that student loan. Okay, so I just want to let you know that. Now let's get back to utilization. Those of you that's trying to get into the 800 club, the 800 bracket of credit. You want to keep your utilization under 10%. So it goes back to what Erika said. So if you have a credit card for $1,000 and you want to keep it under 10%, what should they pay? Where should they not go over, Erika?
10%, $100.
Okay, so you got it. So I would try to stay at like $80. And many people who have excellent credit typically don't overextend themselves in credit. Okay, Mama Nelson in Augusta, Georgia, she taught me some phenomenal things. That lady, let me just tell you, she pays her bills ahead of time. When the bill come in the mail, okay, she take that bill, she write it out, her check, because she does the check thing, and she put it in the mail and she pay that bill. Now the bill may not be due till next month, but she pays that bill. And I can't share with you what her credit score is, but let me let you know.
It's high.
She could go any car lot she want, walk off with any car she want. I've seen her do it, not just one car, 2 cars at one time. And that's what good credit will get you, okay? And a lot of people of color oftentimes think that people of color have bad credit. That's not so. I know a lot of people of color, my nephews, I talked to them a month ago. I said, what is your credit score? And he told me. Very proud of him. Credit is something you have to work at. It's a numbers game. And if you don't have the money to pay off your debt, pool with your family members. That's what I did. I said, okay, this is what your credit look like. This is what you owe. I tell you what, I'm going to give you $1,500, pay your Amex down and this down, okay? And then what we did after that was paid, after the report day, we rolled that money back over to me. How you do it? Go in the bank with your credit card and get that money. And then I paid on mine, okay? And then we did that back and forth for a little while. And then maybe in 45 days, if that, their credit score was at the mid 600s. And then maybe another, I don't know, month, 2 months, they were about 736. Because it's a numbers game and you got to stay under the utilization and pay them on time. I'll tell you guys about my mom. My mom has property, cars, and everything. But she said to me, I just don't deal with credit cards no more. She said, I used to, and I just don't. And I said, Mom, you need a credit card, because if you don't have a credit card, what if you want to rent a car? And my mom said, well, I just use my bank card all the time. Well, you guys know several years ago, what they started doing for people who were renting cars, they would charge them an extra charge, a deposit, $250, $300, $500 deposit for a car that you might have one day, because you didn't have a credit card. So I said to her, I said, Mom, you need a credit card. Why don't you apply for the Capital One card? So she reluctantly applied for it. I sat down, pulled up her laptop, and I applied for the credit card online. She got the credit card like that. My mother hadn't had credit cards in I don't know how long, but she had what I would think was fair credit because she had new cars and all that. But her home was paid for and all that. She had a decent income. But the long and short is, if you don't have like revolving credits and things of that nature that's consistently going, it's almost as bad as you not having no credit. So she got the credit card. I said, Mom, I explained the utilization thing to her and all that, and we tracked her. In less than 45 days, they upped her on that credit card, I want to say over $2,000. And it's all because she was disciplined. And I say it's a numbers game, but really what it is discipline. You have to be disciplined, and you have to use strategies that's going to help you get to where you want to go. So that brings up this point. But before I bring up this point, let me ask, Erika, Kevin, do you have any questions? Or something that you might want to share?
I don't.
Check to see if I have some questions.
No, there are so many tricks to the credit card thing because, like you said, they want you to have the 30%. Like I have a credit card, I haven't utilized it. Is that hurting me if I don't
Yes.
use it?
Yes.
So I have you, and you can
I'ma share
never get
something
rid
with you.
of it, right? Like once you open a credit line, it's always open for the
Yeah,
duration.
don't get rid of it, because if you get rid of it, it's going to be a problem, especially if you have history on that card and your history has been good history. Okay, I'm going to cover this card up, but I'm going to show you this because this happened to me. I was in Wichita, Kansas a couple of days ago and wanted to make a purchase, right? But I had not used this card, okay? When I put the card in the slot, it was declined. I called the company and I said, I'm here at a place and I'm making a purchase, and the purchase was like $600. Okay. So, and I knew I was good. But what I didn't realize was that the company had turned this card off because I hadn't used it. And I had recently been issued this card a few months ago and had never used it. When I got back home, I found a letter in my mailbox saying that they had shut the card off. But while I was in the store, of course, I called the company, okay? And I told them, hey, I'm about to make a purchase, blah, blah, blah. No problem, Miss Riche. We'll take care of it for you. We turned the card off because you hadn't used it. So what happened with this is that if you have a card, okay, I have $25,000 on this card, right? I'm not saying I do, I'm just using that. $25,000 on this card. So that pushes my ability to use more credit, okay? And it's a balancing act with the credit ratio, the 30%, the 10%, okay? But if I lose the $25,000 of credit that I'm allotted on this card, what happens? Oftentimes it's going to bring your credit score down. So if you have a card that you're not using, use it. Even if you set up automated payment, okay? I have a property somewhere, and they have this water thing going on in that state. So the $6 something they charge me a month, guess where it's going? Automatic on this card. Because if you don't use it, you'll lose it. It's just like anything. So that was a great question, Erika. And a lot of people don't know it. Because like me, when I don't have no balances, I feel good. I'm on cloud 9. You know, I'd be like, no, I don't want to charge nothing. I want to charge. But you gotta charge something.
So we could go on all day with credit.
Yes.
And she did an amazing job. But we got but 20 minutes left. Now, I want y'all to do the 2020 intentions. You know, we can't go into the new year without doing our intentions. So, EC, let's go.
Man, I was so wrapped up in the credit score. I was like, okay, what is next? So, I mean, you know, maybe our intentions should be at least to get started on tackling our student loans, our credit, and even just starting off just facing your credit score. You know, it might not, even if you say, okay, well, it may be just a 450. I don't even know if that's possible. I'm sure it is. And just say, well, when you get it, oh, it's not as bad as I thought it was. You know what I'm saying? Because 9 times out of 10, it's like going to the dentist. Almost like, I know the dentist for me, you know what I mean? The anticipation is so much more worse than when you finally get it done. And then you feel so empowered. You feel, and that's the thing that it's all about. It's all about empowering yourself for 2020. For the last 30 years, I mean, it's just do this, do that, so that you can be more. And that's all from the ego, right? We're feeding the ego. Society's drive is to feed the ego. But when we're feeding the ego, the self is being neglected. And so it has cost even people who appear to be successful, it has cost them because they're not coming from self. And it's gotten to the point where I think people have forgotten how to get back to that. What that looks like. What does my truth look like? You know, you can see someone with that car that you want, wearing the clothes that you want, in the relationship that you think you want, I should say that, in the house that you think you want. And, you know, and as far as you didn't build that credit. You know, you don't know how hard that person worked behind the scenes to get those things. But because it appears a certain way, then it must be that way.
Right.
And that's not necessarily the truth. So I feel as though for this new decade, getting back to being, and what does that look like? You know what I mean? For it's individual for everyone, but we're so wrapped up. I think people just want to be YouTube stars, and they see all this advertising money that people are making, but you don't see
the work
that people are putting in. You don't see the sacrifice that these people are. You know, you got these child stars. Well, they're sacrificing their childhood for this. You know, and they're sacrificing all they can't play outside. I guarantee you they can't play outside. I mean, it takes me weeks to put this 2-hour show together. Now, imagine being on every single day. You know, what is that really? Do you really have what it takes to do that? Or do you really want to? What is important to you? You know what I'm saying? I see people who want, you know, they want these relationships that they see on television, and they don't know, you don't know what it's costing these people behind the scenes. And so it's all this, it's what's called smoke and mirrors. You know, it's all this glitter. And it's really no goal. We've forgotten what it is just to be. And a lot of times we feel like as though we need all of these external, and that is living from the ego. The ego holds on to separation. It holds on to this identity. It holds on to these titles to make yourself feel special. Not even realize validation. And I heard somebody say validation is for parking tickets.
Absolutely. Because
you have your own iris, you have your own fingerprint, you have your own footprint. If nobody else has that, like, to me, that's amazing. It's like 7 billion people on the planet, and your fingerprint belongs to you. That automatically makes you special. The fact that you are here at this particular time, I see, you know, even myself with this old soul, you know, people say, well, you were born in the wrong. No, I was born right here, right now, for a unique purpose. And my ultimate goal is to figure that out, to get to that, to live that out. Joseph Campbell says that, I don't believe that people are looking for the meaning of life. They're looking for the experience of being alive. And that's what, you know, why do you want this car? Why do you want this house? Why do you want all of this? You have to play the why game with yourself.
What's your intentions by having these things?
What is your intentions? And we got to get to even the definition. Maybe, Ms. Riche, can you look up the definition of intentions for us?
Yes, I'll gladly do that, but I will tell you this. Robert Greene, 48 Laws of Power, talked about people's intentions. So going forward, okay? Yeah. Remember this. It doesn't matter what a person's intention is, and Erika just said it, but it's what it costs you. So intention is a thing intended, an aim or a plan, okay? So it's the healing process of a wound in medicine. So remember that as you usher into 2020, things that has held you back, your credit, even people, they may say, well, I had good intentions. But the question you should ask yourself is, what has your intentions cost me?
Right.
So what is your intentions in 2020? What is your intentions in credit? Now, we covered some things about credit. We couldn't cover everything because we had a lot. Erika gave you guys a lot of great, smell good, wonderful things that'll keep more money in your pocket and less money on the shelf, okay? But it took time to do that. So just remember, we covered a lot of stuff with credit. We didn't get to talk about authorized credit users, okay? And we'll talk about that at a later date. But if you can become an authorized user on someone's credit that trusts you enough, I would suggest if you're trying to build credit, ask someone that you trust, that you know that pays their bills, that has a history of paying their bills on time, and that would extend that opportunity to you so you can move forward in 2020 and get your credit straight and not debate. But I would highly suggest don't take a credit card if you know you're still having credit challenges. Just allow them to put you on as an authorized user. And all the history that they have on their account, that history will become yours. Their good credit, you will kind of ride their coattail until you can stand on your own 2 feet.
Wow. All right.
Wow. And that's about do you really intend on paying your stuff on time? If you know that you don't, then that's what you said. You got to ride that
Don't take
coattail.
a credit card.
Right.
Yeah. Don't take a credit card, and also be mindful. This has to be a systematic way of getting you to where you want to be. Now, don't use this person and just think you're going to ride all their credit. You got to do the work. Because when you do the work, you will start to reap the benefits. And you got to remember too, if they should pass away or something happens and something befalls them and they can't pay, that will affect you now, okay? So you got to remember, it's a balancing act. But while they're helping you to help yourself, go ahead and establish some primary accounts. And a primary account is an account that you create under your name. And you can get a primary account from My Jewelers and a myriad of other places. And maybe in one of our future broadcasts, I'll share more of that with you, more about authorized users and a plethora of other things. But while I'm here, before we let you guys go, Credit Secrets. This is a phenomenal book. Yes, I am an affiliate. Yes, I get a kickback. But guess what? I don't need your money. You know why? Because I got friends like Erika and Kevin. So anyway, but I encourage you guys to get this book. I'm the last I'm like the scam sniffer. And this is not a scam. If you get this book, okay, and you become an affiliate, the book is $39. They give you $30 when you sell a book. And now, for those of you that don't want nobody to know your business, when you take the code and you order the book, whoever you ordering the book from, they don't know that you even have the book. But this book will help educate you. It'll tell you about why it's critical to get all 3 credit reports, just like I told you, but also it's going to give you a secret about why it's important to update your current address. And that's all I'm going to tell you for now. And if you want to know more, I'll put some stuff down below on my page, and I'll send some stuff to Kevin, and we'll get it logged for you so you can find out how to get this book and educate yourself. Because it's not enough for me to tell you, or Erika or Kevin to tell you. You need to have your own knowledge, because knowledge in action is true power.
Absolutely. EC?
Action. That's knowledge and action is true power. That says a whole lot. I mean, it just man, and it takes a lot of discipline. What I'm talking about, setting those intentions, getting your credit together, getting your finance, it takes intentions, and it takes discipline, and it definitely takes consistent action. And those are some words that come across a little scary. Consistency is definitely scary for some people. Disciplining yourself is scary for some people, and sacrificing. But all of these things lead to empowerment. You know, you cannot drive that luxury car that you want to, but these are the steps in which you can take to get to the where you want to be, and not, it's this whole thing towards doing things for the gram. I mean, doing things to, I don't know what the new word for flex is now, but I mean, it's a lot of flexing going on. It's a lot of that, and so getting beyond that. When your credit is not right, you see people with a lot of fancy stuff. A lot of people, their credit is messed up. You know what I mean? Like they're the main ones who need help with their credit. And so, I mean, just building that, it takes some time, and it takes a little discipline, and it takes for you to be true to what you have going on.
Right.
If you don't have that, you don't have to do that. Get off of the social media, really, because it's more about projection and opinions than it is the truth. You know what's true for you, and if you don't, then there are some things that you can do to get to that. And so a lot of times, for me, getting to my truth is sitting in silence, maybe separating myself from you can't hang around certain people, especially if you're trying to get your stuff together.
Right.
They want to go out, they want to spend this, and I got a group of friends. It's like, golly, like they are costing a lot of money this weekend. Like, you know what I mean? But if you try to get your stuff together, you may have to separate yourself. You may have to bow out for a little while, because and I challenge people, just take this year out. Yes. This 2020 year out, and say, you know what, 2021, I'm banging. But for now, I mean, if you do it just within the first quarter, the difference that it can make. Because once you get into that routine, then you'll come back and say, you know what, it's more worth it. It was worth it. If we just really discipline ourselves and make that sacrifice. And if you give up meat for the first 31 days, you'll start the year off, I mean, cooking with propane.
May I make one interjection? Because you said something very valid about cutting back. One thing a couple of things you guys could do. Take your lunch to work. You don't have to eat out every day. You don't have to go to Starbucks every day either. I have a friend, she used to go to Starbucks every single day, sometimes 2 times a day. That $5 and $6 and $8 and $10, the mochiatas or whatever, Starbucks is already wealthy.
Right.
And if you're trying to get there, going to Starbucks every day is not going to make you wealthy. You might like the environment and stuff like that, but it's not going to make you wealthy. Like Erika said, you need to be around people who are on the same frequency, who are going the same direction you're going, because they may find something out that you don't know and could share with you to help you boost your frequency, boost your credit score, boost your very way of life. And another quick thing that you can do is, we've heard talk of a imminent recession, right? Well, if you know that's coming, prepare for it so you're not caught, out in the open and you just bought this new car that you can't pay for now because jobs are going to cut back and you may not have a job. So how you going to pay for the car? The car dealership don't want to hear that you can't pay for it. The mortgage company don't want to hear that you can't pay for it. So live within your means. And even if you have to go a little lower than your means, that'll be a great thing. One thing I learned about living abroad was that the Asian population that I lived in, because I lived out on the economy, they used every nook and cranny of where they lived. Smaller homes, but used every nook and cranny. So I challenge you, use every nook and cranny of your money to save your money and buy what you need. You don't have to go out and buy the most expensive sneakers like Jordans or whatever. Now, I got a lot of shoes and some sneakers from all over the world, but I don't own a pair of Jordans. And nothing against Jordan, but putting money in his pocket isn't putting money in my bank account. So you gotta rationalize that for yourself and see what's more important. Do you want to eat today and plan for years to come by just being a little frugal, paying your bills, getting good credit? Because this is something that I learned a few weeks ago. I heard somebody say this: your credit is your calling card. In And I think Erica talked about gentrification.
Mm-hmm.
Gentrification is happening in a lot of areas where it's predominantly people of color. They're pushing our older people out, one, because they can't afford to pay the taxes. A lot of them don't have the money saved because they've been helping their children that need their help or who've been in and out of trouble, and they didn't focus on building credit. Now, even their children, when they're about to lose the house, the children can't help. Why? Because we have not been taught how to utilize credit effectively. But those are days gone. So I challenge all of you, use that time to learn about your credit, get the book, educate yourself. Someone once said, if you want to hide something from a person of color, put it in a book. And when I first heard it, I was like, wow, that's very insulting. But all they were saying was, a lot of times we don't read. And we have to read to educate ourselves on how to play the chess game.
Right.
And that's what it is, a chess game.
AC. Let's take us out with a poem.
Oh, the poem. Well, the poem is just really about, it's about being true to yourself. It's a poem by Erika, the Mountain Dreamer. And it doesn't interest me what you do for a living. I want to know what you ache for, and if you dare to dream of meeting your heart's longing. It doesn't interest me how old you are. I want to know if you will risk looking like a fool for your love, for your dream, for the adventure of being alive. It doesn't interest me what planets are squaring your moon. I want to know if you have touched the center of your sorrow, if you have been opened by life's betrayals, or have become shriveled and closed from fear of further pain. I want to know if you can sit with pain, mine or your own, without moving to hide it, or to fade it, or to fix it. I want to know if you can be with your joy, mine or your own. It doesn't interest me if the story you are telling me is true. I want to know if you can disappoint another by being true to yourself. If you can bear the accusation of betrayal and not betray your own soul. If you can be faithless yet trustworthy. I want to know if you can live with failure, yours and mine, and still stand at the edge of a lake and shout to the silver of the moon, yes. It doesn't interest me to know where you live, or how much money you have. I want to know if you can get up after a night of grief and despair, weary and bruised to the bone, and do what is needed to be done to feed the children. It doesn't interest me where or what or with whom you have studied. I want to know what sustains you from inside when all else fails. I want to know if you can be alone with yourself and if you truly like the company you keep in the empty moments. And that is called The Invitation by Erika, the Mountain Dreamer.
Thank you so much for that great poem.
I just want to take that into 2020.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lotus, for all the great information you gave us today on credit repair. It's a lot. We're going to probably have to reconvene with that in 2020, first quarter. So we keep on giving that information and make this a year-long process of helping people become financially well.
Yeah.
Financially well in 2020. Erika, tell everybody how they can follow you and find you on social media.
Well, I don't like followers. I don't want no followers. Let us learn together. Let us join together on this journey since we are here, and we can encourage each other and inspire each other to live out our dreams each day and to get our stuff together. You know, get our credit. That definitely needs to be. I want to challenge Miss Lotus Riche to start a program, her own little group, and working maybe accountability type, thing where, because we definitely need this information. We're definitely shying from it, and we just want to live in the moment. And I say that is over with. Let's live right now, in the right now, to create a better future for ourselves. So I'm Conklin Erika on Facebook, and I'm Pretty Witty, PrettyWittyY on Instagram, and EMCLUV on Twitter. I know there's a lot of different things, but if you're on one of those platforms, you can join me there, and we can inspire, illuminate, and encourage each other.
Absolutely. And before I let everybody go, once again, starting Wednesday is Veganary. So those you guys who want to do it, join with me. Hit me up on Facebook or Instagram, and I will put you in the group. It's going to be 31 days of plant-based living. I'll be there to help encourage you, motivate you, so we could create a healthier version of you for the first month of the new year. Those who saw the show last week, so we had two great people on the show, one who did the juices and one who was the personal trainer. So he inspired me to want to do a collaborative class, and I put forth the action to try to get that together. So we do have a space to do the class. We just got to figure out the date. So we will be doing the class in January of 2020. It's going to be cardio hits. So it's going to be 30 minutes of spin and 30 minutes of hit training. Yes. So as I get the dates, I will let you all know. So you come out, if you're in the ATL, come out and join us and start a great year. We got a lot of great stuff as individuals, but also as collaborative forces to really inspire, educate, and empower our community to be the greatest version of themselves, mind, body, and spirit, and financial. So just stay tuned, follow us. No, not follow us, but come join us,
Join us.
Yes. And our education of being our best selves, and hopefully you will enjoy the journey with us. So happy New Year to you.
Oh, cheers to 2020.
Happy New
And
Year
the sparkling
to you.
juice.
The sparkling juice. And for you all, this to be great, be authentic, and be yourself. We are out. Peace.
Peace.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
New Year.